Hello, everyone. My name is Jakub Polaczyk. I'm the artistic director of the Chopin and Friends Festival. And during those quarantine series talks with different artists, today we have a magnificent singer, based in New York, Kofi Hayford, who is
Hello.
hello, hi, hello,
Mhm.
Kofi. I would like to tell a few things about you. First of all, that you are such a distinguished opera singer, but you originally were born in New York, but you were raised in Africa for a while, and then you came back
Mhm.
to the States, right? I
Mhm.
got to know that you studied in Buffalo, so the State University, and
Yeah.
now from the last
Mhm.
few years you are based in New York City. You perform in so many productions as a bass singer, and
Mhm.
also you won. I want to mention that in 2018, for example, you won the Tchaikovsky competition in Albany, and many,
Mhm.
many awards and recognitions. Congratulations for all of that. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Coffee, for being with us. Hello.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to a wonderful conversation, sharing with your audience my background, learning more about you and what you're doing with your institute and foundation. So, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Coffee. The first question I want to ask you, this is not maybe so much related to the vocal scene, but we have a Chopin and Friends festival. I would like to ask you, how do you like the music of Chopin, and how do you like? How is it also Chopin music in Africa? I would love to.
Hmm.
I never got to know about. So I would love to know about this.
Sure. I mean, I personally enjoy a lot of Chopin's music, mostly the piano pieces, but
Piano
I've
pieces.
also recently been exposed to some of the art songs he wrote.
He did.
One of the
Yes.
projects I work on is Diction Buddy, which is an app that helps singers learn how to sing in different languages. So we've explored some Polish repertoire, and obviously Chopin and Paderewski and Moniuszko are
Hmm.
all composers that are prominent in the Polish classical music scene. So we have a few of their pieces in our database. So of what I've heard, it's quite nice. Some of his work. I like his piano music more so far than his vocal music, but I think there's a lot more to still explore. But yeah, that's my feeling about Chopin. And as it relates to Chopin's music in Africa, I mean, I didn't really get exposed as much to classical repertoire until I got to South Africa actually, and then that was right before we came back to the U.S.
To Ghana,
So
right?
though,
Ghana, right? You talk about Ghana.
no, I'm from Ghana originally,
Yeah.
but I also lived in South Africa,
South Africa.
and
Okay.
I lived in South Africa for a couple of years before we came back here when I was 13.
Okay.
So from
How
when I
was
was
it
about
there?
11 to when I was 13, we were in South Africa. So there I got involved a little bit more in classical music and
Hmm.
choruses, and they got exposed to that. So I mean, just in general, unfortunately, classical music is sort of a luxury, I would
Hmm.
say, in most of Africa, and it's not as common and as a standard in the educational system. So unfortunately, it's not something that everyone is familiar with, and that's something I'd love to change. So I didn't really know much about Chopin until a little bit later in my life, but of course, beautiful music is beautiful music,
Hmm.
and I got to really enjoy what he produced.
But I want to ask you about the pianist. There must be some pianists also, right? For sure, they must play the Chopin because Chopin is like a basic repertoire for the piano, right? So if they
Yeah,
study piano, probably they play Chopin in Africa, I guess so,
I would
right?
I would imagine. Yeah, I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
pick up any piano until I was
I see.
in college, basically. So
Hmm.
that's part of the reason I didn't know too much about it.
Okay, great. But
Yeah.
Kofi, the second question I want to ask you, the main question also for our meeting, for our conversation about the
Hmm.
quarantine times, about the difficult times
Sure.
for the artists. And I would like to ask you, how did you spend this last year?
Hmm.
How was it for the singers, also freelancers like you in
Hmm.
New York? So can
Yeah.
you share that with us?
Sure. Yeah, the quarantine was an interesting time. I mean, the first, I think few days it was kind of shocking because I had a couple of gigs that were lined up I was supposed to do, which I was counting on that money, so it was a little bit
Mm-hmm.
tough financially to not be able to do that. But shortly into the quarantine, I picked up a part-time job because I knew I'd need money, and so I started working as a concierge part-time just to get some money. So that helped sort of fill in the gaps financially for myself. But it was also just a moment to step back and reflect on what the future was going to hold for me as an artist and what I wanted to do with my career as a singer. I'd always really identified myself primarily as an opera singer, but I think throughout the quarantine, I've started to see myself as more than just focused on opera. I want to do other things with music. I want to create, albums and uh, own my own projects that help me share my own artistic vision and voice. And so the quarantine, though, was very challenging, it also presented a great opportunity to do things differently and to really think about what you want for the future. Because I think we're kind of conditioned as opera singers to do things a certain way, and the quarantine forced so many companies as well to see that they could put opera on film and do things virtually and save a lot of time and be efficient and take advantage of technology. So
Kofi,
I think it was really a big catalyst.
Have you participated in any virtual concert during this time, or maybe?
Oh yeah, many virtual concerts. Yeah, I did some with Concerts in Motion, and I did some recordings that people used in their virtual concerts. And also my company Diction Buddy, we put on a series of concerts focused on specific languages. Actually, we did a German, we did a Russian, a French, Italian, and we're about to do an English one as well. So I even put on some virtual concerts using some of the Facebook Premiere and YouTube Premiere features. So that was also a cool learning experience to be able to do all that stuff.
And how did it work for you? How did you like it? And what are your reflections regarding that?
I think it's, one of the challenges of it is getting people's attention, because everyone was consuming content virtually as opposed to in person. And while that's wonderful, it also got very saturated very quickly. But I think it presents a great way to get people that are singers to be better at producing their own content and recording on their own, finding tracks, and being creative about how they present things as well. So for me, it was really a cool learning experience, and it also got me to take advantage of all the things I've invested in. Honestly, I have a really nice 4K camera, I have microphone, I have all these things, and I wasn't really using them as much as I should have, and the quarantine kind of forced me to use them more. So
I see that you have a wonderful microphone that we can see.
Thanks.
Yes, but which productions did you have during this time? How about the small operas or chamber new operas, maybe all operas? And so, can you share with some?
Yeah, I did. One of the unique things I did was with New Camerata Opera. We did. It's actually kind of an original. It was actually an original screenplay where they basically took the concept of The Italian Job, or the movie The Italian Job, or it's kind of like an Ocean's 11 heist where they had a lot of different characters, and these characters were all working on stealing a painting from the Brooklyn Museum, and my character was a hacker who was gonna disable all the cameras and security systems. And we put together a very unique script. We did a bunch of rehearsals to really get familiar and comfortable with that. We pre-recorded the singing tracks, and then we used a green screen to do some of the lip syncing to it, and putting that all around the character that we had built. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to do projects like that, because I think opera demands a little bit more creativity than it's given currently, and it was nice to be involved in something new and different like that. So that was one. And then I've actually just recently shot a short film where I did a little bit of singing in Mandarin, which is definitely unusual, but a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, there's been a variety of projects that I've worked on during the quarantine that have been quite interesting.
But also, how about your own language? You mentioned so many different languages, of course. There are different operas, Italian operas, French opera. But how about in Africa also, in your native also language or something? Are there any interesting, maybe you can recommend for us some specific names? Have you ever participated in some new operas from Africa, South Africa, maybe?
Unfortunately, I haven't actually. I haven't, but I have. I mean, there are some really nice songs that people can check out in from Ghana, but nothing like really operatic. I have one song I was learning actually, which I found out about a year and a couple months ago. I was hoping to have performed it live, but it wasn't quite ready, so I didn't get to do that. But but yeah, I mean, there are composers who have written works that are interesting, but obviously it's not as well known as, you know, the Verdi or, you know, Puccini or
Mm-hmm.
any of the standard operatic repertoire. But maybe that's something that will change over time.
Maybe
Yeah.
change. We can maybe find some names on the YouTube of some of those operas. Is there a
Yeah.
national? How about is there opera theater in Ghana? That what they put?
No, there isn't.
There
There's a
is,
national there's an orchestra, there's a national
uh-huh,
theater,
but not
but I
opera.
don't know of I don't know of an opera theater yet. So that's, I mean, one of the things I would love to do
You want
to
to
give
change,
back
and
is,
you would love
yeah,
to
is to
change this.
create that exactly.
Yes,
To
I've heard
create something
about
like
my
that.
friend conductor had an orchestra there, so I was he told me, oh, there's orchestra, we have a concert there in Ghana, you know. That's why I was
Uh-huh.
curious about the opera houses, but okay. So in the
No, we don't
future.
really have one yet. Yeah, in the future, that's something waiting to happen, which I hope to be part of. Yeah.
Are there many singers? Are there many people interested in opera singing in Ghana, for example?
There are a few. I know of a few who've
Mm-hmm.
gone from London or from the US and gone back to Ghana and are doing some things, but it's not, I mean, the infrastructure is not really there to support a career in opera.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in teaching, that could be an interesting thing, but I've met a couple of opera singers. Like there's one gentleman who's a bass, who's a really wonderful talent. His name is Michael Appiah Kubimensa. He's a really, really wonderful talent. And I think just uh, getting him in the right hands, getting him the right support could really be a huge game changer for him and allow him to, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
explode onto the opera scene. So yeah.
Kofi, how about you? Because when did you fall in love in opera, and when did you decide to be an opera singer? Do you remember the time and the specific moment in your life when you really wanted to do that?
Um, yeah, I mean, I was about 17, 18 years old. I'd
Mm-hmm.
started teaching myself how to sing
Mm-hmm.
in the correct way, in a sense. I ordered a singing program, like a instructional booklet and CDs that gave me a series of exercises and taught me how to use my voice. And I would use those CDs and do those exercises like every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at some point you kind of hit a plateau. I got pretty far. I got really good with the tone and resonance and a lot of the different things that the book was teaching. But at some point, you need some guidance from someone with an outside ear, someone with
Yes,
more
right.
experience.
Of
So
course.
eventually, I found a teacher through the New York Singing Teachers Association, who is, you know, probably he's probably one of the reasons I'm still singing, because the business of singing is quite challenging. And because she believed in me so much and gave me a scholarship and, you know, would teach me and without charging me, it really helped me believe in myself a lot and in my talent. And yeah, that's really how I got started. It was just her that really took my hand and guided me. And then I
Mm,
decided,
but that was in New York City, right? But how about Buffalo? Because you studied at the University of Buffalo singing, right?
well, actually, so it's a little bit. I have to go back a little bit to explain. So, uh, I went to Buffalo for university, and it was after my freshman year. I was home here in New York for the
Uh-huh.
summer, not in New York City, in Westchester, very close enough.
Westchester, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
upstate New York. Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I was home for the summer, and I was looking for a voice teacher, and that's how I found Antonia Lavan. Antonia Weiss is sometimes how
Mm-hmm.
she's referred to. And I went to her studio and auditioned for her, and she wound up taking me on as a student. So she was, yeah, very excited about me, and that's how I got started, really. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was after that freshman year and that summer that I then decided to audition for the vocal program when I was in Buffalo the next year. Then I got into the program the following year because I hadn't declared my major yet, and that's when I really started, and that's how it continued. So it really started during my college years, that in terms of like formal training and really taking it somewhat seriously.
Mm-hmm. In this way, okay. Thank you
Yeah,
for the explanation.
yeah.
Kofi, do you often go for the concerts? Do you listen to other singers, to Metropolitan Opera or Broadway? Do you have time
Uh,
for that?
I don't really have that much time for it. I occasionally, I mean, what also helped me, I think, a lot in the beginning was doing a lot of listening, but not just listening to anybody. I was listening to the greats, to the great basses, the great baritones, the great tenors,
Can you
great
tell a few
sopranos.
names? Can you name
Yeah,
a
of
few?
course. Yeah, Nikolai Gyaurov, Jerome Hines, Cesare
Mm-hmm.
Siepi, Tozzi. Uh, who else? Yeah, I didn't even listen to like Raimi or any of the newer guys. I listened to all the old school singers, And I just found them a lot more impressive. The color in the voice, the roundness of their sound. They just seemed to have a special skill, a special sort of ability to use their voice in a very powerful way, and that's what I wanted to emulate for myself. So that's where I've done most of my listening recently. I do occasionally listen to some of the newer singers, and but yeah, not a lot, unfortunately.
Also, actually, recently we had not so much time actually,
Yeah.
and also chance to experience those live concerts because
Oh yeah,
everything was
definitely
shut
not
up.
live. Yeah,
But of course, before the pandemic happened, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, but before the pandemic, I saw on your website that you did in New York like this Mephistopheles serenade,
Yeah.
right, from Gounod.
Yeah.
So yes. So when was that? That was 2019. I found out. So
yeah, so that was right before. So the whole reason we put that concert on was actually to raise money for a tour to help pay for some costs for a tour that I was doing in Canada, actually the following month. So I put together a group of really good singers. We put together this concert to raise money for that, and it was a wonderful time. It was one of my favorite experiences as a singer, and that actually kind of planted the seed, well, or maybe watered the seed even more of wanting to do things on my own terms, and not only wanted to do opera where it's, you know, in an opera house with a specific conductor, with a specific stage director and all these other elements. I really enjoy the concert format. And so yeah, that was really a cool experience to be able to do that. And it's one of my favorite arias. It's a lot of fun to sing, and you get to play around and joke around and be a little bit naughty. So that's
but
one of my favorites.
Yes, but what is your most memorable performance? Because you did many operas in your performances. I also saw you did, of course, Verdi, but also, of course, you did Mozart, something. Some maybe specific, maybe so memorable, even maybe fun or something from your life that you would like to share with us that you really remember well regarding your performance. Do you have anything specific?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's a lot of
you have a
lot of experiences to go. Yeah,
experiences. Choose one. Choose one.
I guess yeah. I mean, I guess I'll go back to the Canada experience where I did a tour, and I would travel to these smaller communities and do concerts for, you know, sometimes it's like 50, 70 people. But they really appreciated, you know, me being out there and me exposing them to live music and of this kind that they probably didn't get exposed to a lot. So I really had some wonderful, you know, conversations with people during the right after the concerts, where they'd ask me about my life. I learned about them, and you know, these are quite remote places. So these are places that aren't really accessible by car. You have to take a plane, and it's, you know, go from one small community to another. Yeah, it was really a wonderful experience. Yeah, so I'd say that's right up there.
And what do you think, Kofi, about the vocal competitions? You participated some, I found. And what do you think generally about the competitions for singers nowadays?
I think it's a great way for a singer to get some notoriety and exposure and set yourself apart in a way. Yeah, I think that's the best use of a competition, and also obviously the monetary prizes are great, and it's also a great way to kind of measure yourself against what other people are doing. You know, see where you rank in a sense in the industry. So I think that's the best use of the competitions. But you know, not winning a competition doesn't mean you don't have great career prospects, because there are many singers who don't have a bunch of awards and have had excellent careers. So I think it's great if you can win one, but it's not a determining factor in your success.
Are you preparing for any competition currently?
No, I mean, at this point, I don't think my age might be a factor, because I'm, you know, in my mid-30s now. So a lot of the competitions have a cutoff at 35, at least a lot of the major ones. So I could do it maybe one more year, and then no more of the major ones. There are others that are maybe less prominent or newer that don't have those age restrictions. So I might, you know, do one of those in the future, but that's not really a focus of mine, to be honest.
I see.
Yeah.
Also, Kofi, tell me, because there are not so many bases, you know, bases are not so often there are so many tenors also in the operas or something.
Yeah.
Yes, also regarding the roles, you know, in the operas and the specific arias, you know.
Yeah.
Tell us, maybe we would like to know from the history of the opera or something. What is your, you mentioned, of course, this Faust, Gounod, but what is your, but that's you are singing, but what is your general favorite aria maybe from the bass repertoire for opera that you like to listen? And you would like to recommend?
I think, I mean, that has enough of all the elements that I like. I would say O tu Palermo is a very challenging aria, actually, from the bass repertoire that very few basses do, because it's so challenging, because it really requires you have an incredibly good technique and sing very efficiently without too much tension, without too much pushing, and really also sing with elegance and grace and beauty. And so yeah, I would say that's probably the best bass aria that people should listen to. And there's one specific recording, or anything that Cesare Siepi does is excellent. He's the gold standard, I think, when it comes to singing that aria. But also as it relates to just bass singing in general, he's really fantastic. So I would recommend him above anyone else for that aria.
You know, Kofi, we have three tenors, or we had three tenors like Pavarotti, Carreras, Flamingo, but we don't have three basses ensemble. Why?
No.
It could be great, but I'm thinking why? It could be also amazing to have an ensemble of the basses. We do not have such ensembles.
This is true.
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard. Maybe you know.
I think some people have tried it. Like, I remember hearing a story that Jerome Hines and I think a couple of other basses put together a concert at Carnegie Hall, and these are, you know, major named opera singers, and you know, it wasn't sold out. It wasn't full. But you know, Pavarotti. The thing is, part of the problem is that the repertoire is kind of written for the type of voices that are available, and bass voices are more rare, and bass voices aren't as flexible in most cases as a tenor or baritone voice. So I think because of that, composers were biased to write for tenors and baritones, because their voices kind of sail higher. They can maintain a higher, you know, melodic vocal line, and there are a lot more options with a tenor voice than with a bass voice. So there isn't that much repertoire, and because of that, you know, I think composers just tended to write for the type of voices that people were used to seeing in leading roles, right? And that's tenors.
Right, that's right. Probably.
And then the tenors match the sopranos very well. Tenors, sopranos, and basses, there aren't even that many duets, right? It's always tenor and soprano. I think it became kind of the trend and the thing to do. And I think it's also based on like the physics of sound. And, you know, a lower voice has a harder time projecting through an orchestra than a higher voice, and then the higher male voice has an advantage, you know, because you have the male voice and the power of the male lungs and all of that, and you have a higher pitch, so you know, it kind of creates a very interesting and thrilling, exciting sound in a tenor voice, when especially when it's a big tenor voice. With the bass, it's very solemn. It fits very well with kings and priests and, you know, important men of stature, but it also just doesn't have the same. I mean, there are composers like Boito, who wrote Mephistopheles, right? Which is you know, a bass as a main character, but that's also kind of an obscure opera, right? It's not as popular as Bohème or Turandot or, you know, La Fanciulla del West or anything like that, right? So I think it's just it's an unfortunate development, but it's in a way it's good for me, because bass voices are rare, and so there tend to be more opportunities because of that.
Practicality also, you know, the composer will think about practical issues. But the last question, you know, Kofi, do you also listen to pop music, rock music, and also do you find any inspirations, or maybe gospel?
Oh yeah, I really enjoy a lot of other styles of music. I listen to pop, I listen to like classical crossover, I listen to rock, I listen to heavy metal, and you know, house music, you know, rave, electronic music, all of that. So if you know, I have a playlist that I listen to when I'm working, and it has a whole lot of different types of stuff. It has like Queen, and it has Prodigy, it has Jamiroquai, and then it'll have like Drake. It'll have a lot of different Aerosmith and the music, right? So it's a very eclectic mix, and I think music is just so beautiful and so universal that you don't have to stick into any one specific category. You can enjoy it all and change it up and mix things together however you want, and that's what makes it great.
Of course, yes, that's right. Kofi, thank you very much, for this, everything what you share with us. First of all, I wish you having a great year, many performances, live performances, not so many virtual. Better to have the live performances, many opportunities. We are looking to having you at the Chopin and Friends Festival this year, at the Polish Consulate, that you will also sing something for November. Us. That's in November, right? But now I suggest that at the end of our conversation, we talk a little bit about opera arias. And as I mentioned, I think Mephistopheles Serenade from Gounod's Faust would be good to close our conversation. So I wish you have a great day. And thank you very much for being with us, Kofi.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to talk to you.
Bye-bye, Kofi. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Time for Mephistopheles.
Pourquoi refuser à l'amour qui vous implore? Pourquoi refuser ainsi tout baiser, ainsi ton galon supplié, ainsi ton galon supplié, et ton galon droit? Ha ha ha!